This is Croy chapter 25 from the Practice and Review Sentences. This is number 10 on page 153. Thearountes semea te kai dunames, genamenas diaton kairon tu propheitu, hoi archieres kai hoi grammates, ethaumason kai edoxason, ton basilea tu uranu. This is a long sentence, and one thing I've suggested before when you have a long sentence is to hunt for the conjugated verbs. So you skip participles and objects and so on, and you come for verbs with finite endings. If you do that, the first conjugated verbs you encounter are ethaumason and edoxason, which are the third principal parts of thaumazo and doxazo, respectively. You can recognize these as third person plural aorists. They marveled and they glorified. Alternatively, what also works pretty well when parsing a sentence is to hunt for a nominative. This isn't the first nominative you have in the sentence, but with the article you can tell this is going to most likely be the subject. Hoi archieres kai hoi grammates, the high priests or chief priests and the scribes. And happily, those plural nominatives agree with these plural verbs. The chief priests and the scribes marveled and they glorified. Whom did they glorify? The King of Heaven. This is almost a trick because we're used to the expression the kingdom of heaven. How can you tell this is king and not kingdom? Well, for one thing, it's ton, masculine, rather than tain, basileon. And here is our paradigm for our new noun, basilus, basileos, basile, basilea. That is our accusative singular. So the direct object of to glorify, they glorified the King of Heaven. Okay, let's come back to the beginning of the sentence. We started with thearountes, which hopefully you recognized as being the plural nominative participle from theoreo, to see. So theore is a contract verb. We take our participial plural ending, ontes, e plus o becomes untes, thearountes. We have a nominative plural, which means, we're going to come back to syntax later, this participle agrees with the chief priests and the scribes. So right now we'll just translate it seeing. We know it's plural people seeing. Seeing signs and wonders. Semea tekai dunames. Tekai is a fancy way of saying both and te is post-positive. So when you translate it, you have to imagine it coming before its noun. Both signs and wonders. All right, signs and wonders. Sign is a word we've had for a long time. Ta semeon. The accusative plural would be ta semea. We have semea. That's what we're looking at. It's the direct object. It's the accusative because it is the direct object of seeing. Dunames is a new noun. It's also going to be the accusative. Nouns like dunamis decline just like nouns like pistis. That's our paradigm noun. And so we're going to work our way down to the accusative plural, and it's pistes, so dunames, accusative plural. And this is a feminine noun. So we have an interesting predicament here. We have a neuter noun, semea, and we have a feminine noun, dunames, wonders, mighty deeds, miracles, signs and wonders together as an expression. If we want to make a participle agree with both of these, which gender should we choose? Should we make it neuter or should we make it feminine? The answer is you could really do either, and in this case, Croy, who constructed this sentence, has followed the rule that you can make the participle agree with the nearest of multiple nouns. So if it were singular, feminine, from ginomai, ginamine, and if it were accusative plural, ginamenas. So they saw signs and wonders happening, occurring. signs and wonders occurring through dia plus the genitive, the hands, that's a new word, through the hands of the prophet. And it's a little funny in English to say occurring through the hands, so maybe we'll just sort of tease out occurring and say being done or being accomplished through the hands of the prophet. How are we going to put this participle together with the nouns that it goes with and the verbs that those nouns govern? Let's start very literally. They is our chief priests and scribes, and seeing agrees with them. So seeing signs and wonders happening, and I'm going to change that to seeing that signs and wonders were happening, were occurring. They marveled. But if you recall, with adverbial participles, it's often helpful to consider some other nuances of meaning. And among the options are the temporal participle. When they saw that signs and wonders were occurring, they marveled. You can also have a causal connotation. Since they saw that signs and wonders were occurring through the hand of the prophet, the chief priests and scribes marveled and glorified the King of Heaven. If you ask me, probably since they saw gives the best meaning. But there's no way to choose between these options simply on the basis of the morphology. For that, you have to try a couple options and see which makes sense.